Hello, welcome. My name is Simon Head. I'm the director of Subversives, the history of lowest of the low. Welcome to a new installment of whatever this is called. This is the full-length interviews from over 35 interviews over the period of 3 years. Most of the interviews I'm realizing happened in that year of 2021. This is one of my favorite interviews, I think, ever. At this point, I'd already interviewed Ron and I'd already interviewed Steven. I had yet to even interview David Alexander. And then so I hooked up and I said, hey, Jon Brooks, it's time. It's your turn. We conducted this interview on the 31st of March, 2021. And I knew, as soon as this interview was done, I knew that this is going to be okay. This thing is going to come together. I had already sort of interplayed and had some cuts between Ron and Steven, and I was starting to sort of put together the story in what we called the first act. And then I threw Jon in there, and it's like, oh my God, the thing just took a whole jump in the right direction. Unbelievable jump in the right direction. You can still rent the movie on Apple TV in Canada, United States, Ireland, UK, and Australia. Now, if you don't have Apple TV, you can rent it on YouTube worldwide. You go search Subversives, it'll pop up. You can rent it from there. And if you want to buy a piece, have a thing to hold in your hand, you can buy the Blu-ray on Amazon. Any Amazon around the world. It ships out of Canada, so worldwide Amazon, just search Subversive, the history of lowest of low in Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray will pop up. Did I say Blu-ray before? I meant Blu-ray. Listen, I don't know. Be warned, some naughty words will be mentioned in this interview, and some opinions might be expressed that might not be similar to your own. So enjoy this episode of Johnny Brooks' full-length interview.
Yeah, that's like, I forget what I put up. I put up a video of something, and it had music in the background I couldn't use. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was me. I was air guitaring the intro to Law and Order, so they only give me like 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah, well, everything I'm doing right now is like, if it's a cover, it immediately gets a strike. But it doesn't matter because I'm not monetizing on it. So you need 10,000 followers to do shit.
Is that what it takes?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So just gonna light a cigarette.
Yeah. Man.
You tell me what you want me to know, or what you want to know.
Sounds good. I got levels. Everything seems good. That mic in the front is usually for aesthetics. But
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I got this one for aesthetics too, if you want.
Might just be a little bit sun. Yeah, put it there. Still work.
Some more aesthetics. Tell me where you want it.
Put it more actually to the yeah. Something like that, right there. It has its own.
There you go. Okay. Sit in the chair. Got the mic, checkity 1, checkity 2, check. I like this. This is a nice idea.
Yeah.
Makes it official. Yeah, I should have spent time on the old background. I could make one right now on that. Do a quick marker drawing or something.
It'd be like your YouTube channel or something.
Well, it's the ideas there.
Yeah.
Funny shop videos. That's what it's going to come down to. Making stuff.
All right, man.
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm good. So, it's COVID free. We're not talking about COVID.
No.
To help for that horrible thing to go away, don't need to make it any more popular than it already is. It's mostly you talking to me, and I'm trying to get me not as much on it. So if I say something, if it's a question, maybe just try to repeat the answer back, just so I.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Don't do it if it's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah.
Because most of
I don't know how this is gonna go. You're gonna be editing, bud.
Oh yeah.
We'll just play it and see how she goes. And if you want to change, stop. Stop me. This is stop, right?
Yeah. And you just look this way. Yeah. Looks great. Fucking great image. All right, man. So tell me about the first time you met Ron. Did you meet Dave first?
Okay, I met Dave first in Curry's art store. he was running the graphics department and built like the drafting tables and installed stuff on that. I worked there. That was my first job in Toronto. And then Lowest of the Low. That's when, well, it was Popular Front, right? So Popular Front was playing at the Phoenix. I went to that show, and that's when I met Ron and the boys. After that show, I got stabbed. That was, so that was my introduction to Toronto. And then a couple years after that, I guess a year, I was back at the art store, and Dave asked me if he should name the band The Lowest of the Low. I said, well, that's a lot to get down to instead of a lot to live up to. And I thought it would be a pretty infamous name, and obviously it is.
So the first meeting, first gig, I'm going to go a little bit through that.
Through the first gig with Lowest of the Low?
The Low.
Well, Popular Front was great.
Yeah.
I thought they were great. But Lowest of the Low, the first time I saw them, where the fuck was it? Probably Sneaky D's or the Blue Moon Saloon on Bloor, one of the two. And I just loved the songs. This before Shakespeare was recorded and out. And I love the songs, all the Toronto references, Bukowski, Henry Miller. These are my touchstones that, gutter snipe as I was. And we had fun in those early days. I remember I bit a guy on the nose at a New Year's show at the Blue Moon Saloon, and he got kicked out. So that was pretty good. The early days were tight. Like, there'd be 5 people, there'd be 10. The next week, those 10 plus. The next week, it seemed to go like this every time. Until, like, 94 or 5 when I guess that's as far as I went. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, can you describe kind of like the ending of Popular Front going into the Low? Do you remember that?
No, I was, like I said, Popular Front show, stabbed out of there. And then back at the art store, it was Dave was excited about it. I guess he'd been playing with Ron for a long time at that time, and they had a couple other bands. Can't remember the name, like Social Insecurity maybe or something.
That was the first group.
That was the first one. Yeah.
So
the Popular Front stuff, I liked it, but the Lowest of the Low songs, they made me want to work for the band. It made me quit the job at the art store and start doing door for them and selling the t-shirts, and then making a lot of phone calls. And then first tour, that was the coming of age, opening up for the Jazz Butcher, Ron's parents' Dodge Caravan, 45 shows in 48 days, put our clothes on the roof so that the instruments wouldn't get wet if it rained, and it was tight, and socks and fucking rough.
Any memories from those Jazz Butcher days, like from tour stories or?
Oh yeah, naked drummer from the Jazz Butcher in the hotel in Edmonton knocking on doors. Hey boy, hey mate, you like a drink? Just like he wasn't naked, so that was good stuff. Jazz Butcher was a bit of a nut job. Good guy, but nuts. It's hard to remember those days. That was an opening tour, so everything was new every day. And, you don't get this, you don't get that. So I stole a lot of shit from the headliner, I'll admit that. Yeah. Rider stuff is mainly what it was about. We're out of drinks. You got drinks.
You sort of explain that. Because I try to explain it, the concept of getting something from the headliner without them knowing it, like going into their room.
Right, yeah. So, you're the opening band on tour. You don't get as much as the headliner in terms of rider, drinks, sundries, veggie tray, fruit tray, meat tray. If you're the opener, you get a box of Ritz crackers and 6 beers or something, maybe. So after what you do when you're the opener is you wait for the headliner to go on stage, and then you go in their dressing room and you have at it. And then you get out of there, try to not leave too much evidence that you were there. And then you wait for the wrath after that.
Yeah. Being the opener too, you're always sort of like loaded out and loaded by like 11.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
Normal like.
Yeah, 10:30, 11 o'clock, you're finished everything and you're half in the bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the bass player to drive a lot. I'd have drinks after the show.
Yeah, that was John.
Yeah.
Sort of describe a little bit about Ron's music, how it affected you, like how you felt if you could associate yourself with it.
Well, it made me want to write. At the time, I was coming out of being a big Jim Morrison fan, and many writers, like lots of writers. He made me think, well, maybe I can write myself, because his way of going about it is he wasn't protecting the innocent or changing names, and he wasn't telling fake. He wasn't spinning a yarn. He was telling real stories about the people he was around. So it made me want to write. And when we'd talk, I was like, wow, this guy is smart. And, most people are idiots, to be honest. And, so that sparked me up a bit. Got me into writing more. Made me think that anybody can tell their own story if they do it well. It's magic. We were living it, and he was writing it. And yeah, it was the best time of my life, to be honest. It really was. Like, to be part of the Gears. The part that I did wrong is I was the crew guy who thought he was in the band, and that's the worst thing you can be in the world.
Well, yes and no.
Well, I was like the hype guy in Arrested Development. What's he doing here? Why is he on stage?
But my favorite band dynamics is family based. Like that's why I love
it. Is a family.
Yeah.
It very, very much is a marriage, a family. There's so many different relationships too. It's not always straight on. It's up. It's down. Yeah. It was an amazing time. It was really amazing. That first tour taught me everything I needed to know about doing shows, and after that, I was immediately a road manager. So, I went from road manager with them for about 400 shows or more over 4 years, and then I became a truck loader at the Molson Amphitheater after that. Went down to the bottom.
As we all did.
Yeah, exactly. The shed.
Talk a little bit about your experiences with when Shakespeare came out.
When Shakespeare came out, I was amazed because I lived with my mom on Elm Street off of Yonge, and Sam the Record Man's the big store, big record. It was, I spent all my time walking through those aisles of records all the time. And then we met Jason Snyderman, which was Sam the Man's son, and he put up the money to put the album out and put it in the store. So I'm like, okay, these guys are really catching with the right people right now. Because it was about being independent, not like label needs us more than we need them. And so we're going to do it on our own. And, Steve did the artwork, whatever. The album's out. And we do an in-store. I think the in-store was at HMV, actually. But as soon as it was heard, it was on the radio. CFNY picked it up. And you're hearing the sound. You're hearing your band on the radio that you're working with. And it was up against, during that time, it was The Edge, and it was not a bad radio station, semi-alternative. So you listen to it, not like now. Can't listen to any fucking radio. Except maybe fucking 89.5 for this and that. It was heard well. People liked it. People were singing along with the songs by the third or fourth gig I was at. They knew all the lyrics. I sold personally from the merch table, I think 20,000 copies of that album. I remember we did a week of shows every night in Toronto, like X-Rays, Horseshoe, Ultrasound, Lee's Palace, or not, maybe not Lee's, Cabana Room, and Opera House was the big one at the end. And I think during that week we sold something like 5,000 or 6,000 CDs. So it was pretty amazing. It was an amazing album. You can't put it down. It's like, it means more to me than the Guess Who.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're great, but come on. Burton Cummings is a cunt.
It's staying in.
Yeah.
Because it's right.
Yeah.
It's true. There's no lies there. So just for clarification, so Sam paid for the recording or paid... Because it came.
I
out,
think for the pressing,
because it
and-
came out on Page, right?
you
Page,
paid for the first 10,000 copies, I think is what it was.
because Page Productions.
That was the first distribution deal.
Yes, yeah.
Page Productions, Stephen Page's dad
Yes.
from the Bare Naked Ladies, who I also do not like at all.
Whoa.
Great guys,
Yeah.
bad band.
I was just your set. There's a funny story. When that 1 Week song came out, I was
Yeah.
driving down the road, go, wow, I haven't heard from the Bare Naked Ladies lately. And it's like, it's been 1 week. Fuck, they're here. Sorry.
No, they annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah, my mom's transcribing this, so she's gonna write. Mom, don't write that part. It doesn't matter.
Excuse me.
So talk a little bit about Sandy and Skinny, kind of where they fit into the early days.
They were the first management team, and I was like, "Who are these guys? Why are you giving them money? What are they doing?" And then I realized, "Oh yeah, these are professionals. I actually don't know everything." It was hard for me. Yeah, Sandy and Skinny. Skinny, I didn't really understand, or he was just the guy who got drunk with me. Sandy was the chick who knew what was going on, and yeah, we didn't get along famously, but I listened to her. I knew she was the boss.
Yeah. She's still active in the biz too, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
She should be. She ran it.
Yeah. Any sort of live show banter? Because Ron and Steve kind of had this banter relationship. Is there anything you can remember where?
Oh, it was always colloquials all over the place. What's the matter with what's left of you? This is something I'd always ask Steve, and he'd cry laughing because he was always so shattered, tired, and shit like that. We'd have like handheld video games in the van during, and they'd say, "Well, we're just having a little healthy competition," and I was never allowed to get the game because it's between Steve. Well, healthy competition over here. On stage, it was about checking me out on the sides. I was always right beside them waiting for a guitar string to break or setting up merch and watching from there. And I'd always just be, banging my head to whatever with the music. And that helped Steve. He always told me, he goes, "Yeah, if you're not going back and, if I don't see you moving, I need the vibe. I need the vibe." Yeah. And, yeah. For as far as banter, they were just immediate. Everything was immediate. There was no shtick. No shtick.
There was always this thing rang true to me with either it was David or Ron said there was a mission to blow the headliner away.
Yes, absolutely, because we were the independent band. We were going to do it. We weren't going to be suckered. We weren't going to suck corporate cock, as it was about, like SST Records shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we always wanted to be like ready. I spent all my time making sure that everything was right for them to do what they did best, not have to worry about things like I've got your towels and your water and when your meal is, like babysitter, full glorified babysitter is all I was, and they had to do it for me too. I needed a lot of babysitting, stop from doing stupid shit. Yeah, where were we? I lost myself a bit.
Banter, sort of.
Banter. Well, there's not a ton of banter. John was quiet. He'd have a statement maybe once every 3 months. Dave, well, another silent, cool cucumber. And Dave, Steve and Ron was where all the banter was. They were pretty friendly, and then sometimes snide, a little digs.
With each other?
Yeah, little digs.
Yeah. Well, they say that, Ron quoted Liam and Noel Gallagher documentary saying that one had a lot of buttons, the other one had a lot of fingers. So was there a lot of button pushing?
Yeah, I think Steve's a sensitive guy, that's all. He's like, there's not a cruel bone in his body. And Ron, he's smart, and he can be brutal too, though. He's a realist, sort of. He's got this is what's actually happening, fuck you. And those days there was more things running through him as well. So not just the drink, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's like, get anything you can for that whole hallucinogenia. That was the pursuit. How much drugs can I find in each city as soon as I get there? And, whatever it is, let's do it.
Yeah.
Ah,
And we'll
good
get
days.
Yeah. We'll get to sort of that part of it.
Yeah.
Ron hasn't really brought that part of it out. But
He hardly did any drugs at all.
Yeah.
He hardly did any.
Yeah.
It wasn't like rock and roll crazy time. All these guys had girlfriends at home. They weren't treating women like shit, being idiots. But we made some like one night friendships that were pretty awesome, partying with people for sure. But banter, yeah, the banter was, I don't know what to go on with banter. It's hard to go. Like,
probably a lot of it.
yeah,
why.
constant.
Yeah.
Listening to tapes, man. Like, just listening to cassettes. Who's picking next? You know, Tom Waits, Linton Kwesi Johnson, The Clash, into They Might Be Giants, into... It's just so, like... And then I'd get to play a little Slayer or Black Sabbath once in a while. They were far too cultured for that.
Talk a little bit, this isn't on Sheba, but talk a little bit about the Low and how they basically baited labels and they baited people and they baited even their listeners to sort of come along for the ride, and very, very punk rock.
Yeah.
But not playing really punk rock, but just being punk rock.
Yes,
that's more of an ethic rather than a sound, obviously.
Absolutely. They're not a punk rock band, not aggressive enough. They're making melodies, they're singing together. They're doing, what are they calling it, folky punk or punky folk, sort of. And they were trying to challenge what was already taking place. Like, every musician gets fucked over by their label or their agent or their this or that. They're trying to create good relationships with people they could trust. And then when it came to labels, they wanted the label to work for them because of what they were bringing. It's like with me, with the way I compare it was with T-shirts in a bar. I like Emmanuel Patterson. He's a big guy in the biz now. When he was running University of Waterloo, we'd go there, and I said, well, we have it in our contract. This is the percentage for the T-shirts. And he's like, no way. We charge everybody else this. And I'm like, okay, well, if you give me the same amount of that out of your bar, because that's what we bring. And he's like, no, here's your T-shirt money. And so that was the first time we were like, oh, okay, well, we can do that. Well, then also we'll make the label just be the distribution and create a label for us. That's what they eventually did. But it was about not like Bare Naked Ladies really did it first on a larger, like we started doing it, then they came in with the little mixtape on Speaker's Corner and shit and went kabow, wow. And then his dad started the distribution company, etc. I'm sorry. Just turn it all the way counterclockwise and it won't come on anymore. Sorry about that.
Ghost. I thought I did.
It's got to be big. Yeah, probably. Fuck.
Feels like someone got murdered back here.
People used to mix pyro in here.
Right?
Yeah. It used to be all like, there was a sealed off room back there. You can see the bits of cable. Yeah, there was the enclosed lights. It was fire safe. They mixed fireworks in here.
Shit. Okay, so we're trying to figure out what order this went in, but there's the throat incident where you basically clothesline Ron in a touch football game.
Yeah.
Then there was the Nanaimo story. Then there was the Ottawa brawl.
Yeah.
Sparky's Blues Night in Calgary. These are 4 or 5 big stories.
Yeah.
And out of the 4 or 5, I'll probably keep 3 and leave the other 2 as sort of an extra thing.
Oh boy.
So let's
I gotta see pick one and I'll try and rap about it.
Well, let's talk about the let's go into the Nanaimo story.
Okay, Nanaimo. We get there, first time playing Nanaimo. I think the only time we played Nanaimo. We get to the bar, like, things are nice, this seems nice. And everything's fine. Load in, get ready, sound check. And then I start seeing people coming around. I'm like, oh, looks a little gangstery. Then I go down to the basement and they're building a sound studio and it looks like, I don't know, $400,000 worth of work in this basement for this super soundproof room. I'm like, why do you need that? And so, yeah, that was weird. And during the show, there was bikers coming in And I was a huge anti-racist at the time. Like to this day, let's hunt Nazis for sport. I'm okay with that. Oh, you're coming to their level. Yeah. To stomp on their fucking head. So, the guy, two dudes hanging out in the back, obviously bikers. They had a shirt on that said, "When in doubt, knock 'em out. Support your local SS," with Nazi SS letters. I was young. I didn't know what the fuck. And I'm like, these guys are promoting Nazi shit. Fuck these guys. So I went up on the mic at the end of the show and called them out on stage. Said, fuck those guys. Yeah, you think you're better than someone else. Blah, blah, blah. I don't even remember exactly what I said, but a fucking Brian Ginger went past my head at about 40 miles an hour. We were like, oh, and then you can't fucking talk to us like that, and it started to escalate. I'm like, fuck you guys. I'm not apologizing. You got to apologize. We're going to tie you to a bike, and we're going to drag you. And I said, well, I'm sorry you're so fucking stupid that you think that I'm afraid of you, you fucking cunts. And, oh, that's it, you're dead. And Brian Power and Dave Sutton both grabbed mic stands because I was sitting on the front of the stage while they were, I was shitting my pants, but I wasn't going to show them. And they just threatened because they're not going to fuck me up because they know the owner. So I guess the owner was a former Angel. And so they respected his place by not fucking it up while I was there and not killing me. So I was like, oh, wow, great. But so they left. And we went back to the hotel, and every time we heard a motorcycle outside, everybody would jump so fucking high. They had wives and girlfriends there, too. So everybody was just shitting themselves. And I was not popular. That was one night I can say I was not popular. I should have just kept my fucking mouth shut, to be honest. But I was young enough and, stupid enough to take on any time I saw anything racist, I fucking went for it. Yeah, like Sneaky D's, man. You got in a fight regularly, because Nazis would come in and sit down. And then, okay, you're going out.
Yeah. There was a clear division between skins and sharps in those days.
Oh, absolutely.
Clear division of just that type of Nazi.
Yeah, no, you're allowed to be a skinhead. You just can't fucking wear, 18-hole red ones and fucking, or symbols. If you want to flash a SWAT stick, you're not fucking Johnny Rotten. You're not, Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
You're just a hateful, ignorant cunt.
So has there been any other times I'm sure there's a few other times even with.
Well, I used to hold up a sign, "Hunt Nazis for Sport," when they'd play beer graffiti walls. And then, the New Year's Eve show of Ralph Ben Murgy, we played in front of a fake bathroom. And during the song, I came out and wrote "Die Nazi" on the backdrop. CBC. They never paid me for it either. They still owe me for my on-camera time.
I'll try and get it. It'd be like $300 a second.
Yeah, $300 a second. Yeah.
All right. So the throat incident.
The throat incident. Yeah. Okay. So we got a day off in Whistler at the Boot Pub.
Was it Jasper?
No, it was Whistler.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, it was Whistler. It was the Boot Pub.
Yeah.
Great joint, Boot Pub. And we were there with the Tramps, I think. 2 were there at that one. We did a show there with them. I don't know if it was the same one. But anyway, afternoon off in the sun, beautiful river, grassy area beside the hotel, playing a little bit of football. I was eating mushrooms like that by the handful. And not really paying attention. And then, okay, let's have a football game. And Ron was going by, and I guess I just took him out, and I didn't realize that I shouldn't have. But I hit him right in the throat, so it was serious. He was hurt and had to sing, and we were already deep in a tour, and I felt terrible. But it was just, don't play football with me when I'm on mushrooms, I guess.
That's a quote. It's a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Don't play football with me when I'm on mushrooms. I'm making that t-shirt.
Excellent.
When this comes out, I'm giving you that shirt. That's brilliant.
It's funny. It is funny.
But I mean, there was a working in period of him trying to get his voice back, and he tells the story. Actually, it's kind of permanently
Yeah.
But the
No, I gave him some gravel. I did. I gave him gravel. And I feel terrible about it. I really do. But at the same time, what the fuck, man? These things happen. We're playing football. Playing. Remember? Playing?
You're the one supposed to be taking care of him.
I know. Yeah, no, I could have just touched him. No, I had to take him out. I guess, yeah, it's not right. I know that. I do a lot of that. Not right, you call it.
There's actually another story. There's when you got lost at Dave Sutton's cottage.
Oh God. Yeah, that's ditch nap. Yeah, that's ditch nap.
On Dave, wasn't it?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, so he wouldn't walk away. Both drunk. We went for a walk outside the cottage. This wasn't the first time I got lost either. I got lost in what's it called? Not Jasper. What's the other one? Banff. Yeah, I got lost in Banff, 2 blocks from the band house, just staring at the stars. Dave Alexander found me. Thank God. Who knows what would have happened? But yeah, Dave Sutton's cottage. This was the night after the Ottawa brawl at Zaphod Briebelbrock's. They wouldn't give us the money they owed us, and I said, well, what the fuck do you think's going on that you're going to have to pay? Got our buddy Craig. There he is.
I see a red light on it.
Craig, Simon, Craig.
I'll leave you guys alone for a few minutes if you wish.
Yeah, give us a half hour.
I'm going to the liquor store drinking the entire time.
Yeah, right on. No, you'll have to be background if you don't. Yeah, it ended up being at 11. I forgot, and I thought it was at 1, but whatever. So where was I?
That's the lighting department's under control.
Yeah, we're all good, bud. What the?
You went for a walk.
Yes, went for a walk after we had the big brawl. They wouldn't pay us the money at Zaphod Briebelbrock's.
Well, let's do this.
Let's go because it'll lead into that ditch nap.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go to Ottawa. We're there early. I was drinking that day. Someone else was driving. So I decided I'd just drink all afternoon, and I did. And then we opened up the door, had a great show, sold it out, sold some merch. Afterwards, we get a guarantee plus if you get a certain numbers. Everybody understands it. He didn't want to pay the plus, and I lost it. Said, you can't fucking do that. You're going to give me the money. Give me the fucking money. And they're like, no, get out of here. One guy grabbed me from behind. Another guy punched me in the face that worked for the club. And that was it. I lost it. Picked up anything I could find and sent it out this 6x6 front window. Yeah, it was scrappy. And and then we kind of ran away from the place to Dave Sutton's cottage because it was on the way home-ish. And I proceeded to get super slaughtered, took off. Dave found me, and I just tackled him and into the ditch and fell asleep on top of him, passed out. So yeah, glamorous moment, glamorous.
The next day, the story is that Dave came back. He's got leaves and shit all over him the next day, and it's like that he tells the story that you fell on him.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. I don't know what to tell you. That's the story. I was hammered. He was giving me a hard time, and I grabbed him and tackled him and fell asleep on top of him for about 3 hours, I think. And the sun came up, and we got out of there. I don't remember any of it.
Okay.
Full blackout. Full blackout from probably, 9 p.m. actually.
Yeah. Now, tell the story about Sparky's Blues Night.
Sparky's Blues Night. I don't remember much other than we were stuck there, had to wait to play the next day, and they gave us the band room upstairs. Everybody got hammered. Ron wanted to throw a TV out the window, and I wouldn't let him. And that escalated and escalated. It's fuzzy, man. I don't remember much. I remember my joke was, oh yeah, we can go get some chicks and fuck them up the ass and throw them out the window. And that was the end of it. We just cried because it was, it's so wrong. Stopping Ron from breaking a television was the goal that night. And I think I stayed up till the very end. I wouldn't stay away from the window because I had to guard, because Ron was relentless. When he was drunk, you couldn't stop the guy. You couldn't. He was belligerent until he passed out. Yeah, Sparky's. I think we went downstairs and started booing at the band or something too. I don't remember much of it. I don't. There's many stories.
I think Dave said he tried to shut the building down. Like he wanted to go.
Yeah, he was gonna he was going for the breakers.
Yeah.
That's true.
And you were like pulling him, like lifting him out.
I carried him up the stairs like a briefcase. Yeah. I did. That's true. Yeah, that was wild. I can barely remember. There's just little flashes of that one. That's when I was a straighter guy. Like, I wasn't getting hammered like that. I drank in the afternoon, and then I stopped because they all drank everything. I think they drank 2 cases of beer, like the 4 guys. So,
that's insane.
12-pack each, basically.
Edgefest, t-shirt story.
Edgefest, more shirts than I ever sold in my life.
Yeah.
I was
and
just...
there's a political thing behind that about how the band fought to get a fair split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing we did at the venues I was talking about earlier, is that you're getting this percentage only. We don't want the price to be $40 or something. We made it 20, and I think it was 20 or 25. But yeah, we sold boxes of shirts that day. And then when it came to the countdown, I was like, I wasn't giving it up. Like, I don't even remember settlement. I know there was a lot of fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the band said they wouldn't play if they didn't get the rate brought down to a fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that sort of.
It's the only leverage they had.
Yeah.
It's the only leverage they had, and I don't remember what the outcome was either, just because of how long ago it was. But I know that once money went into the pouch, What's that?
It stayed.
Yeah, it stayed. It wasn't going... Well, I did skim here and there, a bit of drugs. But, yeah, really, it was the safe, man. It was a fanny pack. Good luck. But it was huge. It was a big fanny pack like this. And a lot of the time I was walking around with 15, 20 grand in there. It was like, scary. Yeah. So
the outcome of the Edgefest story is Ron got wasted, drank all day. The show went off fucking nuts, and he broke a guitar, which is... Yeah,
it was a mess. Kumbaya was rotating stage. That was the one where they walked out to the wrong side first. Is Edgefest was it still?
I think Edgefest was...
Yeah, it was the last spinning one. That's right. Yeah. Terry, the stage manager, the old teabag. Love that guy. His wife's my accountant now. Yeah, no, they were hammered, but it went well. I think it went well. I think it was a great set. But Ron was trashed. There was no hiding it. Got a little slurry here and there. I think they pulled it off great. I did a round off in front of 8,000 people. That was cool for me. That was my big moment. I was always like, say my name. Yeah. Ego, bud.
Yeah. Do you remember the Art Bergman story?
Oh yeah, Art Bergman's the best. Which story?
Well, there's a few where you picked him up in the van on tour. What's that one?
Well, yeah, we drove past it. Was that Art Bergman?
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was. And then we gave him a ride somewhere. Or we talked to him, or we saw him and then we talked to him just after? Something like that. But it was an immediate relationship. It's like Ron's like, holy fuck, yeah. And then we're doing shows together. I did a tour with Bergman. Like I went out, that van that's in Hardcore Logo, That's what we drove. I drove that milk truck. Yeah, that was crazy. I loved Art, man. One of the best writers ever. Everything he said was poetry every time. Like, he was nuts, a little crazy. He was trying to kick heroin at the time, and I had to get them like a 26 of fucking Courvoisier a day just to keep things level, apparently. That Art Bergman, I don't know what to tell you. Him and Ron together, friends, man. Really good friends. Art was my friend during that time too. There was about 2-3 years where we were pretty regular seeing each other. Yeah. I love that guy, man. I think Art's a treasure.
He's gonna be on this. I'm going to Calgary to talk to him.
I have a picture with him somewhere, with just me and him in the dressing room at Lee's Palace, and I've got my shallow end of the Gene Pool tour on shirt on.
Frank Weipert.
Frank Weipert, the hippie from Vancouver. Yes. Crazy guy. Beautiful man. a manager, promoter, used to be a hippie. Crazy guy, man. Crazy guy. Just track pants and a t-shirt, but running, I don't know, 8, 9 shows a night in Vancouver, booking bands, managing bands, knew everybody on the West Coast. He was the first like mogul I met, and he said he was buddies with Bruce Allen, and I'm like, who gives a fuck about Bruce Allen? Like, I hate Bryan Adams, bud. He's useless. And Bruce Allen, whatever, he's that manager type that, oh, I'm big. I don't like that. I like people, normal people that are interested in music, not fucking money makers.
And so was Frank considered one of
Frank was an artist's friend. He worked for. He didn't try to steal from people. He was fair. He had contracts. He nurtured the people that worked for him. And he was like, I think him and Sandy did more for the band than anybody, to be honest, in terms of creating their ethos, mythos, whatever you want to call it. Frank, I love Frank, by the way. Yeah, I had him and Dave Genn and the drummer guy. They worked for Matthew Good in his really early days. They came to my Art Bergman band. They were the Art Bergman band, and Frank was with them, and I made them Thanksgiving dinner at my mom's house in, like, I don't know, 96 or 7. Or, no, 4. I don't know.
Tell the Speaks and Riddles story, because that's...
Well, Frank was kind of like a hippie, and like you'd ask him something, he'd go, well, if you think about it, really, something could change, and then that might happen, but it's up to you to make a decision about where this is going to go. I'm like, no, I'm here asking you questions, and you tell me an answer, and then I know what's happening. Like, I would be so frustrated with this guy, and he'd just be go, well, John, you know, you just gotta figure it out. And like, yeah, I the thing that bothered me about Frank is I just wanted to fucking, he's like NASA, never a straight answer. Flat Earth, bud, woo!
Oh man. So I guess let's talk a little bit about Mr. Arnott, Jon Arnott.
Jon Arnott, the quietest bass player in the world. He would never reveal his age. We butted heads because of money and shirts, and you know, he wanted more control. He didn't trust me doing it. I don't know. We butted heads about that shit all the time. After the fact, I love the guy. You know, we're part of something amazing. After being with him for, you know, those years, I didn't see him for a while, and then he popped up in rock and roll being a sound guy. So I'm like, oh, Jon Arnott's here. I'll make sure everything happens for him. Yeah.
Is there any sort of stories of like just any sort of road touring abuse, substance abuse, drugs?
Substance abuse.
Just generally, you don't need to name
No, generally there wasn't. There was me. There was me finding whatever I could. I smoked all the time, like smoked weed, hash all the time. If I could find acid or mushrooms, I'd do it. Cocaine wasn't a big deal until later in my life. But if I ran into it, I did it. But the big story was end of tour. We went to Mushroom Studios in Vancouver, had the run of the place, and everybody was on liquid acid. We were at the town pump, and the guy I met said, oh, I got liquid. And I'm like, oh, okay, you want to deal with it? He's like, well, it's liquid. So I went to the bar, and I said, give me a really long receipt. And I got the waitress to print out a receipt about this long. And the guy came over to the merch table, and I said, just, here, I'll give you $50. And he went, sploosh. And we soaked the receipt. And I made everybody, well, anybody that wanted it, here, eat a piece of receipt. And so that was a party that went all night. And it was weird because people in the morning were having to catch flights. And I was driving to the airport and back. And I was flying. I was out there. Dave Sutton was in on that because we had to deadhead the van back after this. So yeah, acid all night, playing piano in the studio, jazz piano, might I add. Party all night. Everybody was quite high. And they all caught their flights. And then Dave Sutton and I drove from Vancouver to Thunder Bay in like 32 hours, and then the van exploded. And then I went to the hotel and fell asleep, and they couldn't wake me up. Once they did wake me up, they finally agreed to give us a new van. They weren't going to. They said we couldn't have one. I'm like, got this contract here. You got to give us one. And they gave us one. And I took the keys for the one that we dropped off and dropped it in the fucking sewer on the way out and gave them the finger. Drove away. They were mad. Oh, man, they were mad. But, yeah, that was a long ride across town on a lot of acid. The other one was Brian Power, myself, Ron, I think, and Dave were the ones on acid. We're driving through Revelstoke. And I remember everybody going, wow, the trees look like carpet. And then we pulled into a little motel in Revelstoke and stayed the night. I think we drank 70 beers. It was a wild one. That was acid. Acid was the only one that we shared a lot. Steve, Dave, John Arnott, not really into it. Ron was into it. And I was way into it. I was the arbinger. Yeah. Former deadhead, right? Oh, yeah, you got acid? Okay, how much you got? Yeah.
So it kind of segues into that question. The band has and still does have a tolerance for crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and there is...
freak magnets, we called ourselves a lot. Like, Ron was complaining about psychos at the show. And I'm like, you're the guy with the purple dinosaur pants. So, there was definitely some weirdos that would come to our shows. People, because I encouraged a sense of abandon, to elevate, like give to the band will give back to you. Let's fucking raise the room, get that electricity going. Yeah.
And how about within each other though? Also a tolerance of crazy.
Oh God, yeah. People have fucking meltdowns all the time. It was just exhausting. That's what it came down to. It was exhausting. You're always together. You can't get away from each other. You'd lose it, and then other people in the group would work the dynamic to bring the person back in.
Now discuss and describe the first breakup, because I think you were there, right?
Yeah. Band house in Regina. Everybody, Ron had just had enough. He's saying people weren't. I think he wanted to just be more aggressive. He wanted it to be faster and darker, and people to try harder. And he was wasted. So was I. Everybody was, and they said, "Fuck it, this is it. We're not doing the same." Because what it came down to was exhaustion. People were just exasperated, like they couldn't think normally anymore. And it was Sour Landslide was with us. Dee and Vince and Vern and Mark Robinson, who I believe, and it was a band party night at the band house. A big bag of pills, don't even know what they were. Some fucking barbiturates I got, big bag of them for nothing. He's like, here, try these. What are they? I'm not sure. All right, okay. So we're eating those, and drinking a ton, and people got heated, and then said, that's it. It's fucking over. So the next morning, the hangover and loading out of the band house and having to drive from, like, we canceled shows on the way home. Literally, that's it. Okay, we're going home. So drove from Regina to fucking Toronto in weird silences, and like we pulled over for meals one place, this weird cafe. We go in and it's an indoor garage sale and luncheonette with all these shelves. So we ordered breakfast, and I'm walking around and I found a shithead hat. And then this little inflatable frog. And then I wouldn't talk anymore. And I just called myself Fuck the Clown. And I just go, rah, 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 rah. And I'd be playing with this frog for about 7 hours. So it was driving people mad. I was Fucked the Clown. Because I thought I was fucked. Like, oh, great. This is all just fucked. And so I was Fuck the Clown. That was that. That was the breakup, and I remember being on the balcony at Ron's place after they got back together, and like I was still with them, and I lost it. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I was toast, so I had to get out of there. I was just toast. Couldn't, because it was dealing with all these other, like, I didn't make a lot of money either, but I wasn't complaining about that. But I realized that's probably what it came down to, is that I should have been making making a living, not just living off the vibe. I did love it. Like, don't get me wrong, I fucking loved it. It was a great gig, taught me a lot, and we made a lot of people really happy doing those shows. Like, Los to Los sing-alongs when everybody's into it. Pretty awesome.
So, regrets?
Nah, it ain't it. Yeah. No, regret means you didn't get it right the first time.
I know, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing. I think I got all my questions done. Yeah, man. Yeah, if you come up with more, we can just do that.
Hey, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again.
So-
I got more.
I know.
We're on the spot.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna dig now, right?
Take some pictures and then just sort of show them at the camera.
Yeah, I will. I'll show you what I got so far, and then I'll dig. Okay, so here's Steve Stanley in a corporate rock still sucks shirt, and Ron with his Squirrel shirt. One of my favorite bands from Toronto of all time, Squirrel. I don't remember. Do you remember Squirrel? Good shit. So there we go. This is probably St. Cat. Oh, this was the artwork for Hallucigenia backdrop that Dave made. It was fucking amazing. I think that's a piece of the guitar there.
Yeah. I'm just getting there.
I'll get the guitar. Yeah. Well, the last piece of it with the Tribulations sticker on the back. And this isn't Shameless. This is the other one, I think, from Edgefest Smashing.
Yeah.
I was going to give that to Rob Georgieff. You got to talk to him too. Here's Dave Alexander. I think that's in Buffalo. I think at the Tralf. Never understood that, but Tralf, yeah, venue. On the beach in Vancouver. That's nobody. There's Ron with his lame hat and his squirrel shirt. Same gig. I think this was in St. Catharines.
Yeah, I can see that.
The basement. Larry's, was it? I don't know. Yeah, Larry's Hideaway.
Yeah.
Okay, here's I got a bunch of these ones. University of Guelph in the afternoon. The Boys. Is it good on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Keep going. Some fucking highway driving. I don't remember where. Here's more U of Guelph. You won't be able to see much on that. It's a long shot.
Is that hillside?
No, on the campus.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Who's this one? There's Steve in black and white. Yeah, I think these are all Rob Georgieff's.
Okay.
Next. Oh, there's that back. It's hard to see this one, but that backdrop was amazing.
Yeah, I'll scan it.
There's from the backstage, same gig at U of G. There's Larry's Hideaway again. String, maybe a capo deal. I like this one. It's got the rental van right behind the stage. There's the same gig again. Good shots.
Yeah.
Again. Oh, this is that's that Larry's Hideaway during the middle of the action. Oh, that's a Sucker Punch set list from way back. And there's what's left of the logo. There's John and Ron rocking out.
It's a nice bass.
Yeah. There's all three of them rocking out. Oh, this is the night of the Casbys, I believe it was. Casbys. We look great. We lost, but we look great. Oh, here's the morning after. of the first breakup. This is outside the band house. I think maybe D took this. Yeah, D and Mark Robinson, they got to be, they need to be spoken with because they'll remember more about me than I can. Oh, this is Ron serenading Steve at that same show. The boys with someone, I'm not sure who. I think maybe she was a writer in Winnipeg. Not sure. No Ron in that one. Ron in black and white. Steve in black and white. Aw, young Wendy Frick and Steve. Steve, no head. Ron and Steve.
And who took off these?
I think these are Rob Georgieff's. Some of them might be mine too. There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's Larry's hideaway for sure. That's the lighting rig.
Yeah.
4 inches from your head. Steve singing. The same. This is the flannel days at Una. Boy, you got a lot of these. Oh, here's one with me in it. Got my weddings, parties, anything shirt on, I think, on the side stage if you want to try and see when I had hair and stuff. That's you can't see that. Another one, same-ish. Yeah, black and whites you can't see much. All right, there you go.
All right, man.
So then let's show a couple of these too, just for shits and giggles. Not as high quality for the image, but
Still cool though.
yeah, I'm gonna get a few of those scrapbook type ones. They look good. See, I made tour books, and D and Mark will have one. I don't think I have one in here. If I do, I'll give it to you. Oh yeah, there's from the Templars. Remember the Templars? I got this for my birthday. It was a big birthday party.
Yeah.
People drawing pictures, some poems. Yeah, Ron's straight shooter poem. I think Dave Alexander did that of me. I'm not sure. Could have been deep. Who knows? Chris Tate, poetry. Yeah, I love poetry, so people gave me a bunch of it. There's Fuck the Clown and In the Van guy.
Nice.
And yeah, there you go. So let's look for more shit. Yeah, I'd be right into doing this again. I'll even come out to Uxbridge for you.
I like the shop though. The shop is a
Okay, the shop is cool.
good spot. Yeah.
If you want to use it for other interviews, let me know too. If
Yeah,
you're in Toronto and you
Actually,
need
might
the
actually
space.
be Very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, if you need the space.
Yeah.
No, I'd do anything for you, bud.
I love it.
You're an old school buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, more university as well. Here's another Polaroid. I don't know what's on that one.
It's like it made sense back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Polaroids were kind of an investment too. You're like, oh.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I'm finding my old concert tickets. Grateful Dead. Rich